A very lovely evening to you out there. Many thanks for joining us on Kwara Television News tonight. Coming to you live from our studios at Akpata Yakuba on Star Times 113, Free TV 502. Our news is live on Facebook and YouTube at Kwara TV. I am Kafayat Ajadi. With me on the news tonight is...
Good evening and thank you for joining us on Kwara TV News tonight, reaching you live from Kwara State Television Authority, Akpata Yakuba, along with the Kwara State capital. I am Zachariah Surakat. Thank you for joining us.
And from the languages desk this evening, we have...
èyí ni ilé-iṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara tó kalẹ̀ sí Àpáta Yakuba nílùú Ìlọrin. Ìròyìn lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ la mú tàn wá. Ọlájídé Ibrahim ní orúkọ tèmi.
We'll begin the news with a report just reaching out in the studio that says the Kwara State Governor, Rahman Abdulrazak, has announced a 3-person panel to investigate the remote and immediate causes of the recent student protests at the Kwara State Polytechnic. The committee is headed by the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Senior Ibrahim Sulaiman. Other members are the Commissioner for Environment, Nafisat Bugay, and the Permanent Secretary Service Welfare, Dr. Mrs. Mercy Olufunkeshitu. The committee has 2 weeks to submit its reports to the Governor, while their terms of reference are to look at the remote and immediate causes of the protests and handling the same, recommend ways to prevent such things in the future, make further recommendations on the growth of the school. The Governor has meanwhile directed Director of the Polytechnic, Engineer Dr. Abdul Jima Muhammad, to immediately step aside from his role until further notice, while the most senior Deputy Rector acts in his place. In the interim, the committee will engage with all relevant stakeholders on its assignment. Moving on to the federal government level, the federal government has reaffirmed its commitment to delivering a credible, transparent, and internationally acceptable national census anchored on effective public communication and interagency collaboration. Information Minister Muhammad Idris stated this during a courtesy visit by the chairman of the National Population Commission, Aminu Yusuf. He said credible data remains the foundation of national planning, stressing that without accurate population figures, effective development planning becomes impossible. He reiterated that the presidential proclamation remains the legal basis for conducting the census, assuring that President Tinubu is carefully aligning all requirements to ensure the exercise meets global standard. The minister urged the MPC to continue leveraging government-owned media platforms for sustained public enlightenment, while assuring that his ministry will fully discharge its mandate to advocate government programs and policies in the national interest. Chairman of the National Population Commission, Aminu Yusuf, said the commission remains operationally ready with system, logistics, ICT infrastructure, and personnel continuously refined and guarantee efficiency, transparency, and credibility once a new census date is announced. Yusuf also sought sustained access to government media platforms to deepen public understanding of census participation, civil registration, and vital statistics, describing public trust as central to the success of population management in Nigeria.
And now to election matters. The Taminu Turaki-led PDP, People's Democratic Party, PDP, has officially declared its presidential race for the 2027 general election open to all qualified aspirants, including former President Goodluck Jonathan or the candidates from southern Nigeria. This decision was announced on Tuesday night during a high-profile meeting held at the Abuja residence of the former Vice President Namadi Sambo, which was attended by the PDP National Chairman Taminu Turaki. Speaking at the meeting, Turaki said, although it's too early to predict who will eventually emerge as the party's flag bearer, the PDP, is committed to conducting a free, fair and transparent primary process. He stressed that the contest will be open to all PDP members of the southern Nigerian origin, noting that the party is determined to provide a free, level playing field for all aspirants. Explaining what he described as a level playing field, the PDP chairman reiterated that the presidential ticket will be open strictly to southern candidates, a move that effectively clears the way for former President Goodluck Jonathan and other prominent southern political figures to vie for the party's nomination. Meanwhile, Turaki also expressed satisfaction with the recent judgment of the Federal Capital Territory High Court, which dismissed a suit filed by Senator Samuel Anyanwu, a factional national secretary of the PDP. It described the court ruling as a major victory for the party and reaffirmation of its internal discipline and adherence to due process.
Still talking politics, the Federal High Court in Abuja has sacked Julius Abure as the national chairman of the Labour Party, LP. In a ruling delivered today, the judge Peter Lifu cited the Supreme Court verdict of 4 April 2025 to declare former Minister of Finance Nenadi Usman as the valid leader of the party. The court ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to recognize the Usman-led caretaker committee as the only valid authority to represent the Labour Party pending the party's national convention. The ruling followed a suit filed by Nenadi Usman suing Abure, the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC), INEC, and others as defendants. Justice Lifu held that evidence before the court showed Abure's tenure as national chairman had elapsed, while dismissing his claim that the matter was an internal party issue that was not justifiable. The judge said that the establishment of the Labour Party Caretaker Committee was a necessity arising from the Supreme Court order. The leadership crisis in the LP had earlier led the National Executive Committee (NEC) of the party to remove Mr. Abure. To fill the leadership vacuum, the party constituted a 29-member caretaker committee chaired by MS Usman.
And now to judicial matters. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, has canvassed for technological and judicial automation of court systems in the country to enhance justice delivery to the aggrieved citizens. The CJN pointed out that the courts are the heartbeat of the justice system and that where administration is weak, justice will be delayed, and where accountability is absent, public confidence will be eroded. She therefore challenged the chief registrars of courts in the country to give deliberate attention to technological automation of Nigeria's court system. The CJN explained that modern court administration must embrace digital tools that enhance efficiency, transparency, and access to justice while remaining firmly anchored in due process and data integrity. Justice Kekereekun spoke on Wednesday in Abuja at the 2026 strategic retreat by the Committee of Chief Registrars of Nigeria, attended by the court chief registrars in the country. The CJN said that the theme of the retreat, strengthening court administration, financial accountability, and staff well-being for a modern, effective judiciary in Nigeria, was both timely and compelling. SGE added that the theme spoke directly to the institutional realities confronting Nigeria's courts and to the expectation of a society that looks to the judiciary as a final guardian of justice. In Ogun State, the chairman of Ijebu-Ode local government area of Ogun State, Dari Alibiusu, has directed Fusengbuwa Rolling House and the Awujale Kingmakers to suspend the ongoing process for the selection of a new Awujale of Ijebuland. The directive followed alleged receipts of petitions, security reports, and complaints from concerned individuals, including allegations of irregularities and inducement in the selection process. The decision was conveyed in a letter dated January 20, 2026, addressed to the Awujale Kingmakers Council and signed by the secretary to the local government chairman.
Oke Adebanjo. The letter disclosed that the action was taken after due consideration of the provisions of the Obas and Chiefs Law of Ogun State 2021, which empowers the government to set aside an appointment where it considers such action necessary in the interest of peace, order and good governance. It added that based on reports available to the local government, it had elected to act proactively and without further delay to forestall any breakdown of peace and protect and preserve the sacred traditional institution of the Ijebu Kingdom. Consequently, the local government directed the kingmakers to halt the Awujale selection process forthwith and awaits further directives regarding the continuation of the exercise. The letter did not disclose the specific details of the petition or security report that informed the decision. Meanwhile, the nominees to the Awujale stall have been asked to report themselves at the Department of State Services DSS office in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. You're watching Kwara Television News tonight. It's time for us to go on our first timeout. To be back with more details, stay tuned to Kwara Television News.
Thank you for staying with us on Kwara Television News tonight. Moving on to health matters. Depression is a common mental health condition that causes mood disorder and persistent feelings of sadness and changes in thinking, sleeping, and acting. Depression affects both child and adult between the ages of 7 and 90 years and above. In this special report, staff reporter Hawa Dauda had an interface with some medical experts who x-ray the causes, symptoms, treatment, and precautionary measures. Her report.
Depression, a common phenomenon which can lead to difficulty in concentration, affects individuals in their reasoning ability. Speaking to Kwara TV News, a medical expert, Dr. Abdulkarim Ibrahim Gambari, explained that concentration becomes difficult for an individual who is suffering from depression and may take certain actions contrary to happenings in the environment. The medical expert highlighted the causes of depression, which he said is a combination of various things, which includes risk factor, environmental, genetic, and family factor, pointing that depression could either be acute or severe.
Depression is one of the things that changes the thought of people. Ability to reason very well reduces with somebody that is having depression. And people with depressive illness may take certain action that's contrary to what is happening in the environment.
Other experts, in their own words, said depression affects females mostly due to certain factors such as pregnancy, childbirth, unemployment, loss of loved ones, among others. They pointed out that symptoms include mood swing, insomnia, loss of weight, which could be treated using different types of therapy such as behavioral, psychological, cognitive, or even group therapy.
We have the family history of depression because it's genetic. In a sense that if you have a child growing up, every time the child sees his mother or father being sad, being quiet, the child can easily take that from the parents.
In my depression, all this therapy we can still use them to treat the patient. But in severe depression, it's always hard to treat but it's not common.
The medical experts added that different methods are used when managing depression, stressed the need for good companionship in some cases, as well as psychotherapy or even drug in most cases. They disclosed that depression cannot be cured because it comes from the brain but can only be managed, adding that the common forms of depression is the mild and moderate ones. Hawa Dauda, Kwara TV News.
Moving on, fresh controversy has emerged over the recruitment of teachers in Osun State as the government and the opposition All Progressives Congress (APC) differed sharply, giving different accounts on the status and sincerity of the exercise. The Osun State government said the process of issuing letters of appointment to the first batch of newly recruited teachers is on the way. It also dismissed claims that senior officials are deliberately frustrating the exercise. In a statement issued in Osogbo, the spokesperson to the governor, Olawale Rashid, said the directive of the governor Ademola Adeleke was being implemented by relevant agencies in line with established procedure. Rashid, while explaining that earlier delays were linked to funding challenges and the implementation of the new minimum wage, stressed that neither the head of service nor the chief of staff was obstructing the process. He said the State University Basic Education Board, SUBEB, and the Teaching Service Commission, TESCOM, are jointly coordinating the deployment of successful candidates under the supervision of the Ministry of Education. However, the Osun State chapter of the APC disputed the government's position and questioned the genuineness of the Adeleke administration's commitment to recruiting teachers more than 3 years after assuming office. In a separate statement by the Osun APC Director of Media and Information, Kola Olabisi, the opposition party accused the government of relying on mere rhetoric rather than concrete action, particularly over plans to replace teachers disengaged in 2022. The APC alleged that the administration lacked clarity on the actual number of teachers to be recruited and criticized public explanations offered by the Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolapo Alimi.
And now to Cross River State, the Nigerian Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, NCCSALW, South Zone, has formally absorbed a cache of arms and ammunition surrendered by 80 repentant militants in Cross River State. The agency said the move marks another significant turning point in the state's drive to consolidate peace and security. The weapons were handed over to the center by the state security advisor following the successful disarmament of the militants who had operated within the creeks of Calabar and Akpabuyo local government areas. Speaking to journalists in Calabar after receiving the arms, the zonal director of the MCCSALW South Zone, Alex Nema Bimbomel, described the development as a testament to the effectiveness of the state government's peace-building initiatives and collaborative security framework. The NCCSALW Zonal Director disclosed that the center would immediately commence the statutory process of the destruction of and disposal of the weapons received in line with the national and international best practices.
Away from that to Niger Delta, the Nigerian Army has dislodged oil thieves from the Adibawa oil well area and concluded plans to permanently deploy personnel to prevent reoccurrence of illegal refinery and crude oil theft. The acting garrison commander 16th Brigade Nigerian Army, Major General Hassan Mohammed, disclosed this today during a media tour of the area. Mohammed explained that the location, once a notorious hub for illegal refinery, had been successfully dominated through sustained patrol and anti-blockade operations, forcing criminals to abandon the area. The army officer described the terrain as swampy and challenging, noting that troops continued to operate effectively despite the difficult environment. Mohammed disclosed that the flow line from the oil well runs to Bele along the river's Bayelsa boundary, making it vulnerable to illegal tapping if left unsecure. He also disclosed the deployment of surveillance technology, including drones, to monitor forest forested areas and identify illegal refining camps. Also speaking, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, said the absence of illegal bunkering at the site reflected the impact of sustained military operations to prevent criminal national assets. He disclosed that Nigeria's oil production had risen to about 2.2 million barrels per day, moving closer to the federal government target of 3 million barrels per day. The Idibawa oil well, head located at the creek of the boundary between Rivers and Bayelsa State, is said to be one of the biggest in the region.
Still on the news tonight is business, entertainment, sports, and the foreign news. Stay tuned to Kwara Television News tonight. Thank you for staying with us on Kwara Television News tonight. Moving on to the business desk. Price of palm oil has continued to drop as prices of other food items. Staff reporter Abdulateef Owelewa visited Ipata Market to give updates on the price of essential cocaine commodities. His report is presented from our studios.
The price of palm oil, popularly called red oil, has continued to drop. A 25-litre, which was sold for 60,000 naira, is now 55,000 naira, while a 5-litre, which was sold for 10,500 naira, now goes for 9,500 naira. A 75 cl bottle sold for 2,000 naira is now 1,700 naira. A member of Palm Oil Sellers Association, Morenikeji Aduke, who spoke with Kwara TV News, attributed the fall in the price of palm oil to decline in the prices of food generally. She described the reduction in the price as a welcome development. She appealed to government at all levels to intensify efforts at ensuring food security and affordability. Another seller, Oyinlola Akpaguntan, charged the government to support them stay in business.
60 àti àpò mẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dọ́gbọ̀n àtàpò mẹ́wàá bá a ti ń ta tẹ́lẹ̀ àmọ́ nísìn 55 là ń tà. Kíjọba ọ̀ràn wá lọ́wọ́ tí yín náà là ń tè.
Only all the government, if they can help us to function this thing for us so that we will establish well than this. There's no money. They are coming. When they will finish what they buy, finish, they will come. By the end of the month now, when the salary come, we will buy something little at house.
About 2 months ago, the price of red oil is 65,000. But now the price is coming down. We are selling it at the rate of 55 now. And people shall be able to buy it than before.
Some of the buyers who spoke with Kwara TV News commended the government for the drop in the price of palm oil and other food items and canvassed improved commitment by the government to ensure that prices of food items further reduced to make life easy for Nigerians.
Kán bá a ṣe bí ó ṣe tún wálẹ̀ jù báyìí lọ. Bírẹ́sì gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ṣe ń wálẹ̀, òróró náà gbogbo ẹ̀ náà ti ń wálẹ̀. Gbogbo ẹ̀ náà mọ̀ kó tún mọ́ wálẹ̀ sí la fẹ́.
Last month that I bought it at the rate of 10,000. Now the price is now 9,500 when I come back to the market. The government should help us to improve on the palm oil so that the price will be reduced.
Away from business to entertainment, Nigeria celebrity chef Hilda Basi has announced that she is now a 3-time Guinness World Record holder, following confirmation that a September 2025 feat also earned her the title for the largest serving of rice overall. Basi, who had already broken the world record for the largest serving of Nigerian-style jollof rice in September 2025, revealed via Instagram that her effort had also earned her the title for the largest serving of rice overall. The Guinness World Records team informed Bassey through an email from Andrew Fani, head of clients partnering records creative team. Our attempt at the largest serving of Nigerian-style jollof rice had simultaneously broken another record. Reacting to the announcement, Bassey said she was both shocked and thrilled. She explained that what she initially believed was a single record had turned into two in one day. Her latest achievement follows a September 2025 record for the largest serving of Nigerian-style jollof rice, when she prepared 8,780 kilograms, 19,356 pounds for jollof rice during a Lagos cookout feast, a feast recognized as the largest pot of the dish ever prepared worldwide. This marked a second Guinness World Record, coming more than 2 years after she first set a record in May 2023 for completing a 93-hour, 11-minute cooking marathon, which made her Nigeria's first person to hold multiple Guinness World Records. Bassey credited her team for the record, particularly at Oreoluwa Atimo, describing their collaboration as crucial to the success.
And now to Kwara TV Sports Desk. The Confederation of African Football CAF has announced its official team of the tournament for the 2025 African Cup of Nations, with Super Eagles claiming 3 prestigious spots following their impressive bronze medal finish in Morocco. The best 6, dominated by champions Senegal and runner-up Morocco, recognized its outstanding performances across the competition, but Nigeria's representative Victor Osimhen, Ademola Lookman and Calvin Bassey stand out for their pivotal contribution to the Super Eagles' strong campaign. Nigeria's 3 inclusions highlights the depth and quality of the Super Eagles squad. Defender Calvin Bassey anchored the resilient backline with commanding displays, solid aerial presence, and the key interceptions that helped Nigeria reach the semi-finals. The midfield, Ademola Lookman, dazzled with his creativity, dribbling and goal threats, consistently unlocking defenses and contributing crucial assists and the strikes. Leading the attack, Victor Osimhen delivered the powerhouse performance up front, terrorizing opposition defenses with his pace, strength and clinical finishing. The recognition underscores Nigeria's competitive showing and sets a strong foundation for future campaigns, with fans praising the true well-earned honors on social media.
From the foreign scene, Uganda's military chief has given opposition leader Bobi Wine 48 hours to surrender to police following last week's disputed presidential election. Wine, who finished runner-up as alleged widespread fraud during the votes of our sole incumbent president Yoweri Museveni, win a 7th term in office. The opposition leader is in his hiding, saying he fled a military raid on his home house before the 81-year-old president was declared victor on Saturday. In a series of posts on X, military chief Mohazi Kainerugaba threatened Wine with violence, saying he will be treated like an outlaw if he doesn't hand himself in. Kainerugaba, who is Museveni's son and widely believed to be his preferred successor, often makes inflammatory posts on social media. At least 118 members of Wine's National Unity Platform party were charged in court on Monday with election-related offenses, including unlawful assembly and conspiracy. The party's Secretary General had denied its members were involved in violent activities. Wine says the NUP will not challenge the resulting cause, as it has no confidence in the judiciary.
Still from the foreign scene, the Republic of Congo has set the presidential election for March 15. This was announced by the government spokesperson Thierry Mogala. The presidential election, according to the constitution, must be held at least 30 days and no more than 40 days before the end of the current presidential term. Incumbent President Denis Sassou Nguesso was sworn in for his first term on April 16, 2021. The election the Electoral Administration has not yet set the deadline for submitting candidacies. Report says the Congolese Labour Party PCT has already nominated Denis Sassou Nguesso as its candidate. Other possible candidates include the former rebel leader Frederick Binsalmo, alias Pastor Ntomu, and Dave Mafola, the youngest candidate in the last presidential election. President Sassou Nguesso took power in 1979. He was defeated in the first multi-party election in 1992 by Pascal Lissouba, but this very rare example of peaceful alteration in Central Africa ended in 1997 when Sassou Nguesso returned to power after a civil war with Lissouba's forces in 2015. It broke the constitutional limits that limited the number of presidential terms to 2. For years, the Congolese government has also been in the news because of a high-profile investigation with France. In 2017, people close to President Sassou Nguesso were indicted for laundering of public funds in the so-called ill-gotten gains affairs, which also targets the ruling families in Gabon and Equatorial Guinea. With the report from Guinea, from the foreign scene, concludes our package of Kwara TV news from the English text. Moving on to the languages where Fatima is waiting. Fatima?
Labari yan doza ne. Gwamnatin Kwara Abdulrahman Abdulrazak yani ke ya emigun izabutando chilachichania na aji brikichi na gala osuma be de tachinye gi makantayan polijo ne miya kin Kwara ne zana akan shiti na emigun china ngai commissioner ye kan kunchen kin Kwara senior Ibrahim Suleiman zekeneji commissioner ne laide kan ye bazutana na Fisat Buge so rutukache no sahi kai mawo ya etundochiji Dr. Mercy Olufunke Shitu akan ya emigun chin Satuguba na biwe ya gwamnati keje na nimi etunaji aluna ngai ga albenagala usuma unchin bi ndine enaga kanwa yisi fude igbo to en shara naji aga biya gwamnati enaga alama kanta unchin do igbo ne Nocho ga gwamna ga no sayan makanta uncin Trachi later Abdul Jima Mohammed ga unchu sami lori undufa kafina agun birikici mine. Ina siyasa People's Democratic Party PDP be zoshiyan tani muturaki ya mianya ke aya Philippe ya zandundo naga lai Patichichi ya ikwenti shenki na bokulia na beje ya 2027 ne to tishi na gogan kim na abun na Leana Goodluck Jonathan gande bi zanduchi na gafe be daga kanye yi kudu yankin Nigeria ne muce ya yi min na ikayen doci na beje emiyan shabayan tishi gogan Leana kin na abu na madi sambo ni miye jivoyan Abuja todo na ungangan today na alakeza na abila lachichi ya ikwenti shegwa tsayi na siyasa wanchona amma unjin alkoli ke ajin kuliya mitachi bi gangani jine unjin bayano today loye gan engba amo ififachi bi sheria na kotu na cheji voya Abuja today na pa na bi boda na Senator Samuel Anyawu lalu Igbore kotu na etiyan zanade yi rutukachi ye na siyasa unchon to de ne kotu na chi ejiboyen Abuja ne nga Julius Abure wani ake zanon to de unjin da sako ye na siyasa yan Labour Party biane na uche ba sheria ina na ifo yan alboto na alkali Peter Lifu nga gon ke kotu nchukwu ihe kinna abunna sheria na ba ya bachina nga unlatulo gan minister wogalani kinna abu na Nadi Usman nga yi zana yi nusa ya ina uchine uchiji kwalagine laida lamoni kulia che kinna abu na gan INEC ne ke na Nadi Usman nga ke na de ajin eyokusun yan ina uchon to de ne kafi achabi aye zawulo to de alibi ne nemiyan buda na Nadi Usman yi abure ne to emegun yan NSC gande bi INEC to zando chijo to de one ngabo alikali lifuga gane miyan ili na jide alabiyin kotu ne ngabo agan lokacin ya abure azo anike da sakoyan ina uchi ne zane da sakoyan ha ika tete ngiyan Ìjẹ̀bú Òde ni miyan kin ogun na dare alebiosu ngajin katambayan segmo ajania to zaneji eli etune na aga bichikpe yana aga li etu yin jimunchin etu yin Ìjẹ̀bú Òde ne gan awukiale na sankan gikiri ne bichikpe na mo bieje zumayan buda to takada na ji agan ego kasan dondo na agan zando chijo to de gana ji bichikpe na ji ela belili yan awukiale na unjin eno to jin faida po ina ne na mai ni miyan wasika na alatin ya ito afoshi ito amufari to de na ifida ne ati latagwadan zane ji eli awukiale ne be zane yi rutukachi yan ikahun tete ngi unchi ne okay Adebanjo chila egwadene ngabo alatula gan na izumade na ala gamina bike ba etugi ni miyan ikahun chon to de chinle ne achiga ke gan gwamnati to de wọn la bichin na ebode edufe lafiyo to emila tunye muliki jin kemina to de goyin ne imo chon gabo wa gan zanejo to de gan wa etu yan awigale ne ngabo agan awaya dan etu ba yan DSS na chi ni miyan ejiyan Ìjẹ̀bú Òde ni miyan kin ogun ne ujiri ndo chiji etin ya ni miyan gugu yan manyan makanta jo ni miyan kin Ọ̀ṣun bana zano to de itudo yan siyasa ni miyan kin Ọ̀ṣun ina siyasa yan APC on to de ne ngabo atode la labari ndo chijo to de tinyo ama gwamnati yan kin Ọ̀ṣun ga ke gan ayejin shirya ni na ala wasikaji dan zanen ji manyan makanta na ji ago to de na a shiga aji da ganin da bi labari na ji to de etinya na ji gaskiya to de dana ne mi labari na tinya daga bayan gagacewa ya gwamnati ejiyan Òṣogbo na Ọláwálé Rasheed ngaga ke gwamna Adémọ́lá Adélékè to de ngajin eka na ji egan tonani na ji alabi chikpe to de na goyin ne unjin bayani gan na jo to de kan takada láti gayi ibayen ewobo ne yan ewutwa na gbagba gan ne ama ngan ade endondo to de na kan bichikpeji gikini bi na ne na kangbon na agan ajin na wela ego to de to engbanyan zawangiji ne na nasaji aje igan depression ne agan na ma ajin la ibanje debe bayan ipa to ele to de ne agan wajin la igwa to egi tankangi to nusa daga ege ya wutu abo lo ege ya shitudi wo to de ne ni mi labari no ngabo awa dauda unda deza gambe egba nzanajo to de pe tiyan batan no to de one to energy de bichikpe energy zanajo nga lo ne atla unchibe lo zumo to de ne agan batan no wen lai igbo to de to zeni ndodo ikaka ne na unche baza begi labari no lecturer Abdulkarim Ibrahim Gambari unjin bayani to de ngan zejo to de naga dan be na wen luwa to rayuwa yan ijin dondo to de lwa eti poyon to de bi na ne ama ajin ejin endondo be ki zan de kan dondo ipadan biyan to de na ngan na jima ajin wen go na be na ga ko daga bayan engbanyejo ngai zagiji ngama na de waji wen la ego to de gangan ko zando chiji etunga fungwa ko ma zanu to de zanu tobu sai na ngaji ajeline nga alama nya batun ne jo to dia nga egan zanu chinde nga wache wawa wa de ele to de le kemina goyina to endondo to de mo wa boyun jin to de bia ne unchi ga ke batan na de chibia ama adila yedan zanu chinwo na wake uma lawa to eti uncha bi zanu de abia iwade batanya eti nane emi duru na ajela lunine ngabo akungba ni nke a chinjin dojina engichi gbakundo chijo to de chinjin egilabari ablatif owolewa na lodupoyan ipatana ngawo kegan emi duru to de gba nina wọ̀nyí na a chinjin poyin na bambo nchukwu na yiyan lita eshibi ogutu na chekun ewo shitunguta le ne ga ekun shitunguta din jika eshi ogutu to de gba ni yan lita gutu na acheku jika rata tu jika gba be gan fi le ne unda jika rata din jika gba be gan fi agan bambo tete gitu na chekun ewo jika wo ne nga ekun ewo jika tota began fi gba na che baza begi labrai na ana yemi gwense je kun emi tu na mure ni keji aduke nga gaga no go emi na cha chinji na nga ibo kando engi chindo chijo to de unto a chinji ni miyan zuko ne unchiga nga na mama fia ne ama atawadan gwamnati na wajin kokaro to de unchi alugwa kyalo engichi oto de dokun ba to endo chi chiji ne alugwa unchu loye achi ne labari be lozo ni won go abunaga ama labari gan be jimi so yage nga un to gba ni Olagide Ibrahim
àpòṣe èyí ni ìròyìn lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ láti iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara tó kalẹ̀ sí àpáta Àkùbá nílùú Ìlọrin. Gómìnà Abdulrazak ti ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara ti gbé ìgbìmọ̀ kan dìde láti ṣe ìwádìí ọlọ́fíntótó lórí ìwọ́de onífẹ̀ẹ́hónúhàn kan ètò wáyé ní ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gbogbonìṣe ti ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara tó sì tún pa aláṣẹ fún ọ̀gá àgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà láti yẹ̀bá díẹ̀ náà títí ìwádìí yóò fi parí. Ìdí èyí ni gómìnà kéde ìgbìmọ̀ ẹlẹ́ni mẹ́ta kan láti ṣe ìwádìí kí ló fa kúlẹ̀kúlẹ̀ ìfẹ̀hónúhàn àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ ilé ẹ̀kọ́ gbogbonìṣe ní ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara. Amòfin àgbà ní ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara ti tún ṣe kọmíṣánná fẹ́tò ìdájọ́ amòfin senior Ibrahim Suleiman ní alága ìgbìmọ̀ náà. Àwọn yòókù ní kọmíṣánná fọ́rọ̀ àyíká Honorable Nafisa Buge àti akọ̀wé àgbà lẹ́ka tí ó rí sí ìgbáyégbádùn ìṣiṣẹ́ ọba dókítà Mercy Olúfúnkẹ́ Ṣítù. Ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì ní ìgbìmọ̀ náà ní láti jábọ̀ fún gómìnà. Àwọn tí wọn yóò sì yẹ̀wò ní kí ló fa ìfẹ̀hónú ọ̀hún gan-an, báwo ni ọ̀rọ̀ náà ṣe rí, kí wọ́n ṣètò ọ̀nà àbáyọ láti kúrò irú ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú, kí wọ́n sì tún mú ààbò àwa lórí bí ìdílé ẹ̀kọ́ náà yóò ṣe tún gòkè àgbà. Ẹ̀wẹ̀ gómìnà ti wá pa aláṣẹ wípé kí ọ̀gá àgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà onímọ̀ ẹ̀rọ dókítà Abdul Jimoh Muhammad kí ó lọ rè é yẹ̀bá díẹ̀ nídìí ipa rẹ̀ tí ó ń kó gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọ̀gá àgbà ilé ẹ̀kọ́ náà títí ọjọ́ ní ọjọ́ rẹ̀ tí ẹni tí ó ga jù nípò bí igbákejì ọ̀gá àgbà yóò sì máa jẹ́ àdélé. Ìgbìmọ̀ náà yóò ṣe ìfikùnlukùn pẹ̀lú gbogbo àwọn alẹ́nulọ́rọ̀ tó bá yẹ lásìkò ṣíṣiṣẹ́ wọn. Agbọn èyí tí Taminu Turaki ń darí nínú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú alábùradà PDP ti kéde wípé eré ìje fún ètò ìdìbò gbogbogbò ti ọdún 2027 ló sì sílẹ̀ fún gbogbo àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ tí ó bá rò wípé àwọn yẹ láti díje tó fi mọ́ ààrẹ orílẹ̀-èdè yìí nígbà kan rí Goodluck Jonathan àti àwọn mìíràn láti gúúsù orílẹ̀-èdè yìí. Lọ́jọ́ ìṣẹ́gun lásìkò ìpàdé ńlá kan tí ó wáyé nílé igbákejì ààrẹ ilẹ̀ yìí tẹ́lẹ̀ rí Namadi Sambo ni wọ́n ti kéde ìpinnu yìí, níbi tí àtìrí alága àpapọ̀ fẹ́gbẹ́ PDP Tanimu Turaki gẹ́gẹ́ bí Turaki ti wí níbi ìpàdé náà. Ó ní bó tilẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé ó yájú láti sọ ẹni tí yóò jáwé olúborí bí ẹni tí yóò gbé àṣẹ ẹgbẹ́ náà. Ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP ní ìfarajìn sí ètò ìdìbò kò mẹsẹ̀ ó yọ èyí tí kò ní kọ́nu kọ́hàn kankan nínú. Ó tẹ̀gbẹ̀lẹ́mọ́ wípé ìdíje náà ni yóò ṣí sílẹ̀ fún gbogbo àwọn ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú PDP láti gúúsù lóde yìí àti wípé ètò gbangba làṣáta làwọn yóò fi ètò náà ṣe. Ẹ̀wẹ̀, ilé ẹjọ́ gíga àpapọ̀ ilé wa tó kalẹ̀ sílùú Àbújá ti júwe ilé fún Julius Abure gẹ́gẹ́ bí alága àpapọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Labour. Níbi ìdájọ́ ilé ẹjọ́ tó wáyé lónìí ni onídàájọ́ Peter Litu ti mú wá sí ìrántí ìdájọ́ ilé ẹjọ́ tó ga jùlọ nílẹ̀ yìí tó ti ṣáájú wáyé ní ọjọ́ 4 oṣù kẹrin ọdún 2025 láti kéde mínísítà tẹ́lẹ̀rí fún ètò ìnáwó ìyẹn Nonadi Usman gẹ́gẹ́ bí ojúlówó adarí ẹgbẹ́. Ilé ẹjọ́ ti wá pa á láṣẹ fún àjọ elétò ìdìbò àpapọ̀ ilé wa láti ṣe ìdámọ̀ ìgbìmọ̀ adelé tí Usman darí rẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí ojúlówó aláṣẹ láti ṣojú ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú náà títí yóò fi di àkókò tí ẹgbẹ́ náà yóò ṣe ìpàdé àpapọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ tí a mọ̀ sí National Convention. Èyí ló tẹ̀lé ẹjọ́ tí Nonadi Usman pè àbúrò ẹgbẹ́ òṣìṣẹ́ ilé wa NSC, àjọ elétò ìdìbò àpapọ̀ ilé wa INEC àti àwọn olùjẹ́jọ́ mìíràn. Onídàájọ́ Nífù sọ wípé ẹ̀rí tó wà níwájú ilé ẹjọ́ ṣàfihàn pé sáà àbúrò gẹ́gẹ́ bí alága àpapọ̀ ti tẹnubọ̀pọ̀ nígbà tó ń ṣúwọ́gilé ọ̀rọ̀ náà wípé iṣẹ́ ni ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀hún níṣe pẹ̀lú fàáfàá lábẹ́nú láàrin ẹgbẹ́. Onídàájọ́ ọ̀hún sọ wípé ìdásílẹ̀ ìgbìmọ̀ adelé ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú Labour Party ló pa dandan látàrí àṣẹ ilé ẹjọ́ tó ga jùlọ nílẹ̀ yìí. Alága ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Ìjẹ̀bú Òde ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn Dáre Alébíoṣù ti pa á láṣẹ wípé kí ìdílé oyè ọba ti Fùsẹ̀ngbùwà àti àwọn afọbajẹ Àwùjalẹ̀ ó ṣẹ́wọ́lé gbogbo ètò àti ìlànà tí ó ń lọ lọ́wọ́ lójúnà àti yan Àwùjalẹ̀ tuntun fún ilẹ̀ Ìjẹ̀bú. Àṣẹ yìí kò ṣẹ̀yìn oríṣiríṣi ìwé ẹ̀sùn tí wọ́n rí gbà, ìjábọ̀ lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ààbò, ẹ̀sùn àti ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn ọlọ́dọni tọ́rọ̀ kan tó fi mọ́ àwọn ẹ̀sùn wípé oríṣiríṣi ìwà kò tọ́ àti owó ìbọ̀nú ló ti ń wáyé nídìí yan Àwùjalẹ̀ tuntun náà. Nínú ìwé kan tí wọ́n kọ ní 20 oṣù kínní ọdún 2026 tí wọ́n fi sọrí àwọn afọbajẹ oyè Àwùjalẹ̀ èyí tí akọ̀wé alága ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ náà Òkè Adébánjọ fọwọ́ sí ló ti fi léde pé àwọn gbé ìgbésẹ̀ náà lẹ́yìn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìjíròrò lábẹ́ òfin èyí tí ìgbìmọ̀ lọ́balọ́ba àti lóyè ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn là sílẹ̀ tọdún 2021 níbi tí wọ́n ti fi léde pé ìjọba ní agbára láti yẹ irú ìyẹ̀sípò èyíkéyìí sọ́tọ̀ nígbà tí wọ́n bá ń wòye pé ó yẹ láti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ kí àlàáfíà ìṣèjọba rẹ̀ lè fìdí múlẹ̀. Nítorí ìhùrùhẹ́rẹ́ tí ìjọba ń gbọ́ ni ó mú wọn pa á láṣẹ fún àwọn afọbajẹ láti dáwọ́ ìgbésẹ̀ yíyan Àwùjalẹ̀ tuntun dúró nílùú Ìjẹ̀bú Òde kí wọ́n sì dúró de àṣẹ tí yóò tẹ̀lé lórí àwọn òmíràn tí yóò bá tún wáyé. Ìkárísọ ló jẹ́ ìpèníjà ìlera tó sábà máa ń fà á kí ènìyàn máa dádì àti pàápàá ìròrí ìbànújẹ́ tàbí àìdùnnú ọkàn tó fi mọ́ àyípadà níbi ìròrí, oorun sísùn àti ìṣesí. Ìkárísọ ló sábà máa ń dá ọmọdé àti àgbàlagbà láàmú bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ọjọ́ orí bíi ọdún 7 sí 90 ọdún tàbí jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Nínú ìjábọ̀ yìí ni Àwa Dáúdà ti bá àwọn onímọ̀ ìṣègùn òyìnbó ní ìtàkùrọ̀sọ lórí ohun tí ó máa ń ṣokùnfà ìkárísọ, àpẹẹrẹ rẹ̀, ìwòsàn tó fi mọ́ ọ̀nà à ń gbà dẹ́kun rẹ̀. Ìkárísọ ló jẹ́ ìpèníjà ìlera tó wọ́pọ̀ láwùjọ wa tó sì máa ń ṣokùnfà ìṣòro ìfọkànsí tó sábà máa ń dààmú ọlọ́dọni nínú ìròrí wọn. Nígbà tí ó sọ̀rọ̀ pẹ̀lú ikọ̀ ìròyìn iléeṣẹ́ wa lórí móhùnmáwòrán yìí, onímọ̀ nípa ètò ìlera kan dókítà Abdulkareem Ibrahim Gambari ṣàlàyé pé ìfọkànsí ló máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ fún ènìyàn tó bá ní ìpèníjà ìkórísọ tó sì nílò àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan. Dókítà onímọ̀ ìṣègùn òyìnbó ọ̀hún yànnàná àwọn ohun tó máa ń sábà ṣokùnfà ìkárísọ bí èyí tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú àyíká àjogúnbá àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ẹ̀wẹ̀ àwọn onímọ̀ ìṣègùn òyìnbó mìíràn nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n sọ wípé ìkárísọ ló sábà máa ń dààmú obìnrin látàrí ìdí lóríṣiríṣi bíi oyún níní, ọmọ bíbí, àìníṣẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àti àwọn òmíràn. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àríyànjiyàn ló ti jẹyọ báyìí lórí ọ̀rọ̀ ìgbanisíṣẹ́ àwọn olùkọ́ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun látàrí bí gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ náà àti ẹgbẹ́ alátakò ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú olóṣùṣù ọ̀wọ̀ ṣe yapa síra wọn lórí bí oníkálukú ṣe ń sọ ọ̀rọ̀ tirẹ̀ lórí bí ètò náà tí í ṣe ìgbanisíṣẹ́ ṣe ń lọ. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ti wí tí wọ́n fi léde, ó ní ètò pípín ìwé agbà-ọ́-síṣẹ́ fún àwọn ìṣíkíní àwọn olùkọ́ tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbà ṣiṣẹ́ òní ó lọ lọ́wọ́. Ó ní ohun tí ó jìnnà sí òótọ́ ni ọ̀rọ̀ wípé àwọn àgbà ọ̀jẹ̀ lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ ọba ń ṣe àdínàgbò òkú fún ètò ìgbanisíṣẹ́ ọ̀hún. Nínú àtẹ̀jáde kan tí wọ́n fi léde nílùú Òṣogbo ní agbẹnusọ fún gómìnà Ọláwálé Rasheed ti jẹ́ kó dímọ̀ wípé gbogbo àṣẹ gómìnà Adémọ́lá Adélékè ni àwọn lájọ ìjọba múlò ní ìbámu pẹ̀lú àlàkalẹ̀ ìjọba gbogbo. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí Rasheed ti wí, ó ní ohun tí ó fa ìdádúró ní ọ̀dá owó àti ìlànà owó oṣù títún. Ó wá tẹ̀pẹ̀lẹ́mọ́ wípé kì í ṣe olórí òṣìṣẹ́ ọba tàbí olórí òṣìṣẹ́ lọ́fíìsì gómìnà ló ṣe àdínàgbò òkú fún ètò ìgbanisíṣẹ́ ọ̀hún. Ó tún fi kún un wípé àjọ SBEB àti TESCOM ní ìpínlẹ̀ náà ni wọ́n jùmọ̀ ṣiṣẹ́ pọ̀ láti rí wípé wọ́n pín àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ tuntun náà sí ibi tí ó yẹ pẹ̀lú àbójútó láti ilé-iṣẹ́ ètò ẹ̀kọ́. Ẹ̀wẹ̀ ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú olóṣùṣù ọ̀wọ̀ ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun ti sọ wípé àwọn kò gba ohun tí ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀hún sọ gbọ́ àti wípé àwọn ní ìbéèrè lórí ṣé lóòótọ́ ni ìjọba Adeleke ní ìfarajìn sí ètò àti gba àwọn olùkọ́ ṣiṣẹ́ lẹ́yìn ọdún mẹ́ta tí wọ́n ti wà lórí ìtẹ́ ìṣàkóso. Nínú àtẹ̀jáde kan ètò olùdarí lẹ́ka ètò ìròyìn àti ìpolongo lẹ́gbẹ́ òṣèlú APC ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀ṣun fi síta, èyí ò ní Kọ́lá Ọlábísí ẹgbẹ́ alátakò fẹ̀sùn kan ìjọba wípé wọ́n kàn fẹ́ lo ọ̀nà láti dípò àwọn olùkọ́ tí wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ lọ́dún 2022 ni. Iye owó epo pupa ló ti tẹ̀síwájú láti máa já wá sílẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí iye owó àwọn oúnjẹ tó kù náà ṣe ti ń já wálẹ̀ báyìí nílẹ̀ wa. Olùjábọ̀ ìròyìn wa Abdulateef Owólẹ́wà ṣàbẹ̀wò sínú ọjà Ìpátá láti wo ṣàkún iye tí wọ́n ń ta ohun èlò ìsebẹ̀ ọ̀hún. Ìwádìí ṣàfihàn rẹ̀ wípé epo pupa onílítà 5 tí wọ́n ń tà ní ₹60 tẹ́lẹ̀ ni wọ́n ń tà ní ₹50 báyìí, nígbàtí gálọ́ọ̀nù onílítà 5 tí wọ́n ń tà ní ₹10,500 tẹ́lẹ̀ ti di ₹9,500 báyìí. Ike físílẹ́rì onílítà 85 tí wọ́n ń tà ní ₹2,000 tẹ́lẹ̀ ló ti di ₹2,300 báyìí ní ọjà. Ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ iléepo kan Mọ́rẹ́níkejì Àdùkẹ́ tó bá ìkọ̀ròyìn iléeṣẹ́ wa ní gbólóhùn forí lórí ìjáwálẹ̀ owó epo náà sọ báwọn oúnjẹ lápapọ̀ ṣe ní ìjáwálẹ̀. Kó sáré ìjọba nípele gbogbo láti ṣàkitiyan sídìí ìṣàrídájú ààbò oúnjẹ àti àìgbónilápá rẹ̀. Òǹtajà mìíràn Oyinlọ́lá Apàgùntàn rọ ìjọba láti kí wọn lẹ́yìn kí wọ́n lè máa rí òwò náà ṣe. Àwọn òǹrajà tó bá ìkọ̀ròyìn iléeṣẹ́ wa sọ̀rọ̀ kan sára sí ìjọba fún ìjáwálẹ̀ iye owó epo pupa àtàwọn oúnjẹ mìíràn tí wọ́n sì pè fún àlékún akitiyan látọwọ́ ìjọba sídìí ìjáwálẹ̀ iye owó oúnjẹ kí ìgbé ayé lè rọrùn fún tẹrú tọmọ nílẹ̀ yìí. Níbi tí a rí ìròyìn lẹ́kùnrẹ́rẹ́ ta lẹ́yìn mọ́ rèé Kifayat àbọ̀mí rèé.
Thank you, Olajide Ibrahim and Fatima Muhammad, for the translation to languages. That's Yoruba version of the bulletin has brought us to the end of today's package. We thank you most sincerely for your time. Fatima?
Labari bilo zanua go abunaga sai suna suke labari labai na sala su fara ndu me dogo Fatima Mohammed ngala labari tibe.
Títí di ọ̀la tí a tún mú ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ ìròyìn wá fún láti lè ṣe mú àwòrán ìpínlẹ̀ Kwara. Ọlájídé Ibrahim ló ti ń ròyìn. Ó dàárọ̀ ká sọ òrè kájíláyà àtàláfíà.
And I am Kafayat Ajadi. From all of us in Kwara TV, it's a bye-bye for now.